Hi, my name is Joseph Liow. I'm the Dean of the College of Humanities, Arts and Social Science at the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. Well, I think from the Singapore perspective, historically, we have placed a lot of emphasis on good governance, on transparency, of having very clear regulations on the one hand, and on the other hand, providing a very conducive environment for FDIs, for foreign investments. And by conducive environment, I mean providing a climate of stability, predictability, and also having a human resource base that is well trained, that is earnest, hardworking, and really with a cosmopolitan and outward facing worldview. And I think this has been important and appreciated by a lot of the MNCs that work in Singapore, that set up shop in Singapore, that use Singapore as a base for their engagement across the broader region. And this has been a key feature, I think, of Singapore's strategy of making itself relevant to industry and relevant to global commerce. Well, in Southeast Asia, we have 3 countries where there is a Muslim majority population, right? Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. Brunei is a small country, but it is a Muslim majority country. In addition to that, there are significant Muslim minorities in a number of other countries, Singapore, Thailand, and Philippines in particular. And we have to bear in mind also that in Indonesia, we have basically the largest Muslim country in terms of population, and it is also a very vibrant democracy. And I think the experience of Muslim identity and Islamic engagement in the context of growing and vibrant democracy in Indonesia has lessons beyond just for Indonesia or for Southeast Asia. Yeah? And I think one of the themes, for example, in my research that I'm very interested in is political engagement of Muslim communities with their larger society. You know, some call it political Islam, some call it Muslim politics, but really the idea of Muslim communities using their religious identity and principles as a basis through which to understand politics and to engage in politics. And we tend to look at the Middle East and perhaps North Africa quite a lot for examples of this. After all, that is, in a sense, the Islamic heartland, or close to the Islamic heartland, closer compared to Southeast Asia. But we shouldn't forget that in other parts of the world, in particular Southeast Asia, there are these kinds of experiments taking place as well. And I think it is important also to remember that the history of Islam in Southeast Asia more broadly has evolved its own distinct flavor, its own distinct character, which makes it a very important part of the culture and the societal and political tapestry that we find in Southeast Asia. It has enriched the identity of Southeast Asia and Southeast Asians, and this is something that I find very interesting, and I've spent quite a lot of time doing research on this, and I hope to spend a lot more time doing research on it.